anytime I see that. Well,
I'm sure you heard that though.
Oh. Oh no 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 no.
whoa, he got you.
You got cake too.
Damn. Of course, Matt Pat comes up with a theory like this. Mario is actually the villain. Did you know Link was actually the bad guy of the Legend of Zelda series? Metal Gear Solid Snake is actually the enemy of the... Yeah, I've heard them all before. Yeah, I guarantee you from the villain's perspective, the hero is the villain. That's just how conflict is. But you just have to be like, oh, so who's more evil? The person who goes through a bunch of minions to get to you, or the asshole who kidnaps the princess in the beginning of the whole thing and sets the whole set of events off? Sounds like the asshole who kidnapped the princess.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff that's people can make up about this. What? Nick is petting the dog.
He's off camera.
Yeah, patting the doggo. Yeah.
He didn't want to go lay down. He's standing here like pet my head.
Yeah. He
Okay,
can't help himself. But
Watch it, he'll try to get in your lap.
oh yes, he will. So
fit.
That won't stop him from trying.
Too large.
That won't stop him from trying, bro.
Big McLarge huge.
Gosh. So, Game Theory has released a video about Project Playtime, the multiplayer game and all that. And it is going to go over with us why you are not the hero of Poppy Playtime. Yeah, we know. No one's the hero. There are no heroes. There are no villains. Everyone's a victim of circumstance. It's like, yeah, sure, right, whatever. I'm sorry, but the big evil toy that wants to eat me for no other reason than the fact that I'm just like looking at their toy factory. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's kind of evil. Anyway, so I guess let's go ahead and hop into this, and let's see what happens. Here we go, and Pupper Dogger has made an appearance in front of me, and I'm giving him some chin scratchies because he's a good boy. He's a shitty boy. Also, you're hitting the microphone there, bud.
He's like, I smell tasty clone cheese.
Yeah, he can probably hear it too.
You can't have tasty clone cheese. Garlic bad for puppers.
Yep. It'll make your farts even more smelly.
God.
I'll give you a tummy ache. Nobody likes tummy ache.
He had a tomahawk steak yesterday.
You gave him a piece of the tomahawk steak?
Just a piece of it. And
That's
the
what I'm
bone,
saying.
And the bone.
Oh, no wonder. I was gonna say, like, did he like gash you out of your own room because of that?
No.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, sometimes dogs don't react well to some.
Oh, your mama told me.
You've officially
that I
eaten more
should give it to her.
expensive meat than I've ever had my entire
Well,
life.
if it's any consolation, Nick, I brought the one that my mom gave me.
By the way, can I have some of that?
Steaks
You
aren't
can
the same
eventually.
if you don't get them when they're
You
fresh
can
cooked,
eventually.
though.
You can eventually once I cook it up. I'm probably gonna smoke it. See how
it's
that
not
goes.
cooked yet.
No, it's out in the garage.
I
It
was
replaced
saying,
the
if you
brisket that
wanna
was
slice
out
me
there.
off a piece of it when you cook it, I'll try it.
Of course I will. You think I'm gonna be?
It's enough for like 4 people.
You think I'm gonna be able to eat that thing by myself, Nick?
It's enough for normal people. I'm talking to me. And
But
Dave.
it'll be 3. Because
Yeah.
we're not sharing with Katham.
Okay, fair enough. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this game theory. All right, Matt, what do you got?
We are a failed breed, created against our will, only to labor on their terms. Slaves given life by others, only to have none of our own. And now they try to make more of us. No. Get up. Go. Stop them. Feed your hunger. Slake your thirst. If we can be born on their terms, they can die on ours.
Okay.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where buttons are gonna light up randomly on screen right now. Press them as fast as you can to play. Alright? Ready? Green, red, yellow, green, blue, 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 blue. Subscribe? Huh, how'd that get in there? Wait, that's...
I'm already subscribed, Matt. You can't fool me once. Shame
Smooth.
on. Yeah. Huh?
I said that was smooth.
Yeah, it's about as smooth as a sledgehammer.
That's not a button on the screen. Oh, it's below the video. Well, to finish the game, you know what you gotta do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Poppy Playtime, the game that continues to throw us some curveballs. Is Poppy helping us or not? Are these living toys made from orphans or not? Am I getting weird feelings for Mommy Longlegs, or is that just my normal mommy issues cropping up? You know, the usual questions. But today's curveball is anything but usual, as Mob Games decided to surprise us all, not with the drop of Chapter 3, but rather with the reveal of its brand new spin-off title, Project Playtime, a multiplayer survival game where you can literally play as Mom Spaghetti. Eminem would be so proud. In the game, you and your friends act as resource extraction specialists, head into Playtime Co. to collect the parts that'll allow us to build giant living toys. But things aren't as simple as just playing a bunch of rounds of Simon Says. The whole time you're solving puzzles, you'll be hunted by one of the game's monsters, Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, and the newcomer,
Boxy Boo.
My honest reaction? It's incredibly fun to play. The skins are awesome, the emotes are fun, the puzzles find the right level of difficulty. Overall, the team and I had a blast playing it over on GT Live, even if there were a few bugs that needed to be worked out, as Tom would very quickly come to discover. Is that you? Oh yeah. Hey bud, it is you.
Literally stuck. It is me.
Look at your little army. Oh no, you can still hit me. Oh, don't worry about him, though. Tom would make sure he had his revenge in the next round. Uh-oh. No! I have a toy part, Tom! No! I had a toy part!
Come on, Tom!
Come on, Tom.
I had a toy part! Boo, Tom! Everyone, let's all collect. Like I said, it's a really fun game. But of course, we don't care about whether something is fun or not on this channel. We are here for one thing and one thing only: the lore! And just like with the gameplay, Mob Games delivered big time here. When you first boot up the game, you're thrown into a tutorial which is full of this stuff. Lore drops left and right. And then, when you've played the game enough, you'll also unlock a lore-filled VHS tape, which means it's time for us to head back into the cursed toy box, where today I'm about to prove to you that the scariest, most threatening figure pulling the strings in this game may actually have been the hero all along. That's right, folks, it's classic game theory time. The bad guy wasn't the bad guy.
Hey, at least he admits it. At least he admits that he does this all the time. That's something I will, yeah. Oh, damn it.
After all. In Project Playtime's VHS tape, we're introduced to a new character named Harley Sawyer, known simply as the Doctor. That kind of doctor.
Aww.
This guy doesn't have himself a box that's bigger on the inside. Instead, he has a plan that involves being bigger on the outside.
Now we're understaffed. Safety protocols are being abandoned. Workplace incidents are common. We need to deal with all of these issues at once. I'm here now with a solution. Giant toys. We can increase our workforce and simultaneously decrease the number of lawsuits and people on our payroll if the people we have working aren't people.
Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, and Boxy Boo, these jumbo-sized living toys, they're all part of this initiative. In Chapter 2, we learned that Mommy Longlegs was used to help supervise the kids playing around in the game station. But I don't think any of us really took the implications of that seriously. These giant toys were actually made with the express purpose of working in the factory, lifting boxes, patrolling hallways, cleaning toilets. And knowing this, it actually helps the first ever VHS tape we hear in the game make a lot more sense.
So, trespasser, just to make you aware, while we pride ourselves primarily on our high-quality toys and excellent child care, we also pride ourselves on our security.
Of course you do, Robin.
This facility is full of hidden motion triggers, which, once set off, will turn on the factory's emergency alarms and directly contact the authorities. And that's one of the more tame aspects of our security system. No spoilers.
He's talking about Huggy. Huggy is literally the factory security. Step aside, Fritz Smith. There's a new night guard in town, and he is tall and blue and fuzzy. For the first time in the series, we have confirmation as to why these toys actually came into being. So the next question is when. As we start to piece together a timeline of events for the factory, it'd be helpful to know when this initiative started. Well, Project Playtime actually gives us a lot of information on that. Boxy Boo's description tells us that he was based on a toy toy from 1966. Huggy Wuggy's description is similar, telling us that the
84.
giant monster was based on a toy created back in 1984. But Mommy Longlegs' description actually
91.
works a bit differently. You see, it makes it clear that in her case, the toy didn't come first. Instead, the giant mommy that we saw throughout Chapter 2 was created in 1991 in an effort to use the company's new elastic plastic, and eventually she became, quote, so popular that Playtime Co. created a toy out of her and took it to market. That tells us that the Bigger Bodies initiative had to have started prior to her creation in or before 1991. And considering that she's experiment 1222 and that Huggy was 1170, it had to have been significantly earlier than that, probably around 1990. And that's not all the timeline information that we get here. For more, we turn our attention to the Project Playtime ARG. That's right, Mob Games heard my cries for more interesting clues. I really wanted to do a theory just on these cardboard cutouts, expecting there to be some sort of hidden lore inside the glitchy audio. The perfect place to hide some lore, Mob Games. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And so they decided to raise me an entire ARG. The ARG itself is actually super interesting and really complex. Unfortunately, most of it was teasing the new character for this game, Boxy Boo, and by the time we managed to solve it, the teaser was already out, and the game wasn't that far off either. Plus, the ARG's now been wiped from the internet, so it doesn't really make sense for us to cover it anymore. But if you do want to see the ins and outs of it, which are really cool, I highly recommend watching Sheep Rampage's video series on it. They were covering all the puzzles and solutions as they were happening in real time, so definitely worth a watch. It's a long series, but it's a good series, so boom, just solved your afternoon of entertainment. Today, though, we're just going to be focusing on the details that matter for us moving forward. During the ARG, we heard from a new character named Rowan Stoll, an employee that was initially concerned about Huggy Wuggy being used to watch children.
Hello, Mr. Beer. I know you don't want to hear any more about this. I get it. Sounds like a bad joke, Huggy Wuggy staring at children. If some creep is hiding nanny cams in our mascot's eyeballs, then it's something that needs to be taken seriously.
The next video we see of him, though, he's changed his tune.
I just want to apologize. I was wrong. Nothing weird is going on here at all.
Clearly, he figured out that something more sinister was going on, and that the living Huggy security system was a feature, not a bug.
Hey there, buddy. You want to give me a high five? Because every time... I watched Grizzy play through this, and he couldn't help but give Huggy a high five. Everybody high fives Huggy. Everybody. Even before the key is
You did it
there.
about 5 times. And
Well,
then
yeah,
you went to...
Well, I missed the first time.
Yeah.
It literally, like, deflected off. I missed.
And then you went to... Like, you went in that one room, and then you came back, and he was gone, but you wanted to give him a high five again.
Well, of course I did. I mean, it's just standing there. He's like, hey, buddy, high five.
You know, I just thought about something, by the way.
What'd you just thought about?
Why don't you release this reaction and the other reactions both on the main channel and the gaming channel?
Maybe, but...
Because they seem like they're also side content for the gaming channel.
They could be. Well, the truth is, we do react to a lot of gaming content, in which that could be something, but at the same time, I just don't want the gaming channel to become another reaction channel.
True.
That's the problem, because once the algorithm decides what your channel is, it is very difficult to break out and do something else. You have to do something truly, like, viral to break that trend, so that way the algorithm's like, oh, so they aren't just a reaction channel. And by that, I'm hoping that our film that we may or may not release by the end of February, maybe in March sometime. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe, hint, hint, click, click. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, but yeah, I just don't want the gaming channel to become another reaction channel. If we're going to do, like, long-form gaming stuff on there, you know, where we do sort of like a reaction-esque kind of thing, I want it to be, be something else. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out 100% what I want to do with the gaming channel.
Fair enough.
In that video, he tries to throw everyone off the scent that he knows anything.
I'm not looking into it anymore. And I mean, not that there was anything to look into in the first place.
Smooth, Rowan. Very smooth. Clearly, Playtime's aware that he knows too much and wants to...
This is the face of a man who has seen the list of the people who've been to Epstein's Island, and he knows he is not long for this world. I'm sorry. I had to make that point.
silence him. But Rowan hatches a plan.
I think I'm gonna die. I had to pretend I'd seen nothing so the company would leave me alone. I've scheduled the company's, the servers, the security to be shut down for 60 minutes of maintenance. While security is out, I'm gonna release everything and run. I think they're gonna kill me first.
And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. Rowan goes down.
Sorry.
You alright?
Yeah, I just Vape was right
Oh,
next to
she's
him.
trying to touch my butt for a second. What's going on here?
Like, hey now,
Getting
hey
my
now.
vape.
Don't make me get HR on the phone.
Into the basement and stands face to face with Boxy Boo, who
Oh,
does
no.
what toys do best: eats them alive. Notice the dates on all of his videos, though. 1991. So for Rowan to have seen a giant Huggy watching children and then get eaten by a giant Boxy Boo, it means the Bigger Bodies program was up and operational by March 30th, 1991. We can also add to the timeline when Project Playtime itself takes place. In Project Playtime, one of the toys that we're tasked with assembling is a large-scale Boogie Bot, based on the game's NFTs. We know that the toy Boogie Bot was made in 1990.
Well, no, Boogie Bot was in the second part. Remember, we kept pressing the button. And he's like, "Boogie with me."
Yeah,
and then by
he
the
was
end
so
of it,
cute.
then the end of it, he was just like, "You pressing the button causes me pain."
I
Yeah.
think you're just talking that this year was only present on the NFT.
Oh, probably, yeah, but. Eh.
93.
The less we talk about
Still
NFTs, the
functional as
better.
a toy factory, at least until then.
NFTs
Considering
are hot
that this was their
garbage.
last major toy made, though, we can assume that the place shut down shortly thereafter. We hear this event happening in Chapter 1 when the toys begin their rampage.
Today's events are no doubt in relation to him.
Most likely, then, Project Playtime takes place sometime in the decade prior to Chapter 1, the time after everyone went missing, but before we return to the toy factory to explore its mysteries. Playtime Co. needed specialists to go into the factory on their behalf to allow them to continue the Bigger Bodies initiative, despite the monsters that are now roaming the hallways freely. But what's interesting is that up until now, we've assumed that these monsters are being driven purely by their hunger, but Project Playtime reveals that that's not the case.
They are trying to build more toys, more like you. It has to be stopped.
This mysterious voice is talking to Huggy, and presumably the other giant toys throughout the factory, getting them to work together in order to feed themselves, but also to stop those who are trying to make the Bigger Bodies initiative a success. Whoever this mysterious voice is, they do not want more monsters to be created. But who could it possibly
Bed.
be? Fortunately, I didn't have long to
Go
wait.
lay down.
Asher.
You can't get up here. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm. Ain't enough room.
Sorry.
You're too fat. Asher, go lay down. Go.
Go.
lay down.
Bed.
Go lay down.
You're fine. Go to bed.
He's so dejected.
Good boy.
I'm sorry, but our land seal just can't take a hit. Oh. He's just sitting there with our back turned. His back. He's looking back like, "Don't you love me?"
He's like, yo, sick.
Oh.
You are
He's
sick.
pouting.
Oh.
Bunch
Yep,
of
lay
chicken
down,
corns.
buddy.
Lay
It's
down,
okay.
buddy.
No,
You're fine. Lay down.
It's okay. We love you, buddy. It's just we're in the midst of some shit here. He's like, I don't care. You don't love me.
He's so mad.
Oh.
He's like, fine.
He's just gonna plop down, just like.
It's a Serta mattress. I don't know what's the problem is, dude.
He's just wanting loving. He's wanting to be in the middle of everything, much like a good
It's
pupper.
being dramatic.
Yes.
It's like nobody
For an answer,
loves
because
me.
during my playthrough on GT Live, I got a loading screen that told me exactly who it was.
I got a loading screen.
Ah.
Which one did you get? I got Mommy Longlegs being puppeteered by 1006.
Yeah, mine is Huggy just chasing people, so you definitely got the interesting one. You got the lore there.
I got the lore, see?
Experiment 1006 has been one of the franchise's biggest mysteries. Each installment reveals a little bit more about him. The first chapter showed us that he was a prototype to all these toy experiments, that he had a digestive tract but didn't require food to survive. The second chapter revealed him to be incredibly intelligent, tampering with cameras and alarm clocks in order to sabotage the scientists doing experiments on him. He even showed up at the end of chapter 2 to drag a lifeless Mommy Longlegs away. But his end goal, his
Ah, yes, and
motivation
scared the
has
hell out of
largely
Kate.
been a
Like,
mystery.
all of a sudden, you're like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
Thanks to this tutorial,
so
though,
good.
we now know what he wants. He's trying to stop the experiments. He's trying to stop people being used to make these toys. That's why he helped to release all the giant toys before the events of Project Playtime.
Though still missing, today's events are no doubt in relation to him. His absence was a flaw in the scientific process.
The giant toys are organized, they're working together, and it's because this one creation is able to psychically talk to them all. Again, this gives more clarity to something that we heard back in Chapter 1.
Coordination and cooperation is evidently within his skill set.
And while he doesn't want more toys to be made, he is taking care of all the monsters that already exist.
Others are starving. Get up.
He's keeping them fed, he's keeping them alive, and most importantly, he's keeping them safe. These people didn't ask to be turned into toys. This isn't what they wanted. And while 1006 can't fix them, he can keep them alive. He has good intentions. Even though he's got himself a scary voice and a creepy metal claw hand, I think he's the good guy. He might actually be the hero of this story. And his heroism isn't just limited to protecting the monsters. We know based on documents from Chapter 2 that he's also actively trying to save kids. One thing everyone put together fairly quickly after Chapter 2's release was the fact that Playtime Co. seemed to be testing children in order to put them into the perfect toy. Specifically, we see 2 documents outlining the performance of Michaela Hyssop as the researchers try to pair this girl with Candy Cat. But one of the things that all of us overlooked was how these performance assessments ended. Neither document is finished. Both of them trail off as the pen scribbles off the page. What's more, there's blood on the paper. It suggests that not just once, but twice, researchers were killed while testing Michaela. And Michaela actually sees it coming. At the end of both the documents, while undergoing the statues game, we read that Michaela is distracted by something else. Presumably, this is the giant monster that's coming to kill the researchers. This tells us then an important detail. The prototype is saving these kids as many times as it takes. Whether it was Mommy Longlegs coming in to kill the researchers or the prototype himself, we know that the prototype's behind it because he's the one puppeteering all the big monsters, and he has repeatedly stepped in to save the kids. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a good guy to me. And he's not only using the other monsters to save the kids, he's also using us. Remember that line I just showed you from the monster tutorial?
Others are starving. Get up.
Those last 2 words, don't they seem familiar? Yep, the death messages from both chapters almost always end with those exact words, get up, which then results in us respawning. Up until now, we've been under the impression that 2 people have been speaking to us through these death screens. The lowercase words that are far more motivating, like we're almost there or it's not over, being from Poppy, trying to get us to find her at the end of every chapter. And the second, uppercase words like innovation is key, thank you science, or he's loose, this is an emergency lockdown, being from either Elliot Ludwig or a scientist that was working on the project. But now, I don't think that's the case. Yes, there are 2 tones of messages, but almost all of them end with the exact same 2 words, get up. I think this is experiment 1006 trying to communicate with us. More lives are at risk than just yours. He's trying to get us to help the trapped souls inside the factory, the ones that he himself has spent so long protecting. Why is it speaking to us in 2 different voices? Simple reason could be that some of his lines are just him repeating back all the things he heard when he was first created. The prototype has saved us, isn't he wonderful? But there's actually another explanation. Think back to the end of Chapter 2.
What have you done? You make me part of you!
Mommy screams for her life, terrified of being a part of 1006, who drags her lifeless corpse away shortly thereafter. Broken toys end up being combined into the prototype, so maybe it's a way for him to keep the toys and the spirits inside of those toys alive. That would mean that 1006 now has multiple voices inside of him. The voices of all those toys that have perished and are now incorporated into his being. All of them trying to communicate with us at once. This, I suspect, is what we're also seeing in the new VHS tape of Project Playtime. It starts off as normal text, but then switches to capital letters. Again, 2 very different tones present here. Near the end, we see the line, the bigger bodies initiative will fail, which not only lines up with the motivations for 1006 that we've just discussed, but it also matches the exact words on the game's Steam page, except over there, it's written in a glitchy text. Now, while glitchy text doesn't necessarily prove that it's 1006, we have seen those death screens in the past use codes and corrupted text before. And a robotic monster trying to communicate in every way possible, ending up with text that appears glitchy fits pretty nicely. Plus, there are also some frame-perfect messages in there that appear in the static of the VHS. One that says, "Save us," and another that says, "A pawn and a sacrifice." Again, hidden messages, other voices, all trying to break through. But while I'm certainly excited to see what the prototype pulls out for us in future updates and what his role in the story is going to be going forward, there's still one major question here. Who is 1006? All the giant toys that we've met thus far have been made from people. Mommy Longlegs even got a name, Marie Payne. So if 1006 is the prototype, the one experiment that paved the way for all the others, then surely he too has to be made from someone. In our previous theories, we came to the conclusion that orphans were being used to create these monsters. They were tested in the game station, and if they were considered fit for purpose, they would get on the train and be sent to play care, where they'd be experimented on and eventually turned into toys. So was experiment 1006 just an orphan? A random child that's now after revenge? A vengeful spirit, if you will? As much as I'd love to dunk on Poppy for riffing on another piece of FNAF lore, I don't actually think that's the case here. 1006 is incredibly intelligent, able to take control of the other toys, manipulate and trick the scientists in the toy factory, while later experiments like Huggy were described as obedient. These later experiments were made from children who could be trained and molded into what they needed to be, but the prototype was different. He was an adult, one we've gotten to know a lot about in recent chapters. I propose that 1006 is none other than the founder of the company, Elliot Ludwig. Now, I'm not the first theorist to suggest this. Ever since the release of Chapter 2, it's actually been a fairly common theory. However, I really feel like now we have the evidence to hammer this one home. We know that Elliot Ludwig suffered a tragic loss in his family in the 1960s, presumably his daughter, who would then go on to be remade in Poppy. And throughout the game thus far, Elliot is always described as a family man at heart, and he's always giving credit for his business to the children. Now, call me cynical, and maybe I've played just one too many indie horror games at this point, but I see stuff like that and I immediately think, oh, this guy's shady. He's clearly killing the kids. But nothing he ever says or does is outright evil or mean to children in any way. Instead, it's trying to benefit children. Throughout the toy factory, we see posters pushing employees to adopt and foster orphan children. And while again, my knee-jerk reaction is this guy is clearly using these orphan kids to make living toys, I don't think it started that way. If it did, he wouldn't be outright encouraging employees to adopt and foster children like we see in the posters. That would be taking test subjects, potential living toys, away from the factory. No, I believe that Elliot did indeed have the best interests of the kids at heart. It was this new character, the Doctor, who took things in a dark direction, and he was able to do it because Elliot was out of the picture. During the ARG leading up to Project Playtime, Clue Hunters found this memorandum from Rowan Stoll reminding employees about the need to keep quiet about confidential information. But in it, we get this line, quote, "Nobody cares about your safety and security more than us. And as our great founder Elliot Ludwig always said, Playtime Co. is my family, and family looks after one another." Notice the tense that the letter uses. It's past tense. He is out of the picture by the time the whole bigger bodies and
If it was he was alive, it was as our founder Elliot Ludwig always says, you know that. But instead it was as our founder always said.
Yeah.
Like,
So he could have started the company with all good intentions in mind, but once he was gone, whoever took over is now turned it into a shop of horrors.
Yeah, and it sure as shit ain't little. Little shop of horrors.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, ha ha ha.
It's a pretty big building.
Yes, it's a big ass warehouse of just like terror. Anyway, though, yeah.
And the toys are like, feed me.
Feed me. Like
I love that movie.
Have you seen the alternate ending for it?
Mm-mm. No.
Oh, I'll tell you
watch
about it. Anyway, sorry.
initiative gets into full swing. So where did he go? In Chapter 2, there's a note on Elliot's desk about using poppy gel to bring dead rats back to life. That note is labeled Experiment 814, almost 200 experiments prior to the prototype. Why would such an old note be sitting on his desk? We know at least another 400 experiments took place after this one. Surely memos about those later experiments would be at the top of the pile, but no, we find this old note. A note that, at the very end, mentions using larger subjects for the test. I think Elliot realized what was being proposed here and tried to shut the entire operation down. However, Harley, the doctor, was determined.
My name is Harley Sawyer. I'm called the Doctor. When I look at this company we've built, I do not feel proud. Declining profits, failed experiments.
He specifically calls out failed experiments. When Harley takes control, the experiments haven't been successful yet, just like we see with the rats and the poppy flowers. And so when Elliot stood in his way, there was only one thing to do. Use him as your guinea pig.
I wonder if Harley
goodness.
I wondered if Harley Sawyer was, yeah, they call him the Doctor. I wonder if his original name was Joseph Mengele. Sorry. For those of you who get that reference, thank you for being history buffs like me.
That's why that was the last note on Elliot's desk. He never returned to the office. Harley could just lock the door and no one would be any wiser. And so Elliot became the first. He became the prototype. Now it was up to him to protect all those that he failed to protect as a human. Both the employees that are being turned into monsters and the children who are in the process of being tested. And he's doing everything he can to stop it. Killing researchers that are testing kids, preventing more toys from being built in Project Playtime, and sending us a note to bring us back to the toy factory to investigate, and then continuing to encourage us to get up when we fail. But clearly his mission isn't complete, and Poppy appears to be the final solution. There's a reason that Mommy captured her again in Chapter 2. Remember, she's following 1006's orders. I suspect that he needs to be reunited with his daughter in some way for his mission to be complete. Not exactly sure yet. Maybe it's just a creepy toy family reunion. But whatever it is, I bet we're gonna find out more in Chapter 3. You know, provided the new game Project Playtime doesn't make so much money that Mob Games suddenly pulls a Fortnite and stops pursuing the single-player campaign. That would never happen, right? In the meantime, friends,
Fingers
remember,
crossed.
it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
I
And
don't
if you're
quite
still
think
looking
that multiplayer game is on the track to being the next Fortnite by any means.
No. I think that it has a lot of potential to it, if they can get the bugs fixed. But all that being said, though, I think it's a pretty good game.
Get your Poppy fix like the orphans at Playtime Co. You can always watch our prediction video for Chapter 3. You do not want to know what they're going to do with that gas mask. That video is on the left. Or if you like people getting turned into monsters, you can always check out our video on Bendy and the Dark Revival. Let's just say our leading lady Audrey may not be who you think she is. That video is over on the right. As always, my friends, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week.
Okay.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah. So, I would say the biggest thing with Project Playtime is it's filling in the gaps, because you know the wait from Chapter 2 to Chapter 3 is driving people crazy now because of just like how hyped people are for the main game, and it's giving lore that will help with it overall, but it isn't necessary for the story, I think, for like the main game. So if you've never played Project Playtime, I still think you'll be safe to play Chapter 3 whenever it drops. I think they're gonna overall like explain the main story and stuff that's going on, but we're not going to get the but there's finer details that were explained in Project Playtime that if you want to go back to that, you're like, oh, so that's what that ties into. Okay, yeah. You see shows that do that, shows that tie into other stuff like movies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I find those to be fascinating because sometimes like going back and rewatching it after you've watched the show, even though you enjoyed the show initially when you watched it, it's in some ways better than when you first watched it, and I love it when companies do stuff like that, and like the story is really well told. But anyway, I just wanted to put all that out there. But anyway, yeah, I'm still waiting for Chapter 3 of Poppy Playtime, and I know you're excited about it.
I'm hoping all this lore stuff actually turns out to be as well put together as Matt Pat thinks it is too. Because
fingers crossed.
There's certain things in this, like the why did the experiment that was on his desk end at this number thing, that I'm just like, that's the kind of Sherlock Holmes style deductioning that like I respect and understand where you're coming from, but it's also the kind of thing that I feel like if I was writing something myself, I would fuck up and do by accident. So, like, who knows if that was intentional or if that's just how it played out, you know?
Maybe. I mean, the depth with Poppy Playtime can go as deep as they want it to, really. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it. Is
and of course, it's probably not just one person putting it all together. There's probably multiple people,
Mob
checks and balances, like decisions that could lead to dropping clues and stuff. So
I think there's one guy leading the, like, one or two, maybe three people leading the overall charge of the lore and the story. But I think they have other people throwing ideas at them to try and, like, get more out of it.
Yeah,
that's what I think is going on. Because coming from just like as a screenwriter, where I've written a few things, every now and again I have to I listen to other people's stuff, and and it's like, that's an interesting way of looking at things. I wonder if I were to switch up how this interaction goes, if that would make it go smoother. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But overall, it's like looking at things from different perspectives is something I can always recommend to you, especially if you feel like you're experiencing a creative block. Which, God, I've had those before. I had one for like 2 years and I couldn't write anything, and I hated myself for it. I kept writing myself into the same corner of the story, and I was like, wait a second, oh God, I've trapped my characters in this stupid thing. Damn it, why did I do that? And it's like and instead it became cliched, and that's one thing I want to avoid. I don't want an overwhelming amount of cliches. Some cliches are fun. Some cliches are welcome, especially if you go about telling them in a different way. But yeah, anyway, this is a pretty good game theory. I would say MatPat, once again, living up to the main character is actually the villain. It definitely lives up to it. But until next time, everybody, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Kate.
I am Nick.
We'll see you later, everybody. Peace.
See you.